Hello, T3 Arena. This is Lazy Cass.
This is Double T.
Last week, we've got a lot of questions from hashtag AskT3 from the community on YouTube, on Instagram, on Facebook, on Twitter, etc. And as promised, we didn't do kind of like a Discord-only Q&A this time.
We will go through, most popular questions there.
Yeah, let's go ahead and get started. The
Sure.
first one is about controller supports. So, do you guys plan on adding anything in controller support?
We actually have a controller support. As we add new game modes, that the controller support might, it need take a while to get in.
The recent update is 5 versus 5.
There's
a new
abilities,
active
Which means it need to revamp some of the controller mappings.
We haven't done it yet.
Yeah.
And 5v5 is still in beta, and not a lot of optimizations are done for 5 versus 5, and controller is one of the
Most important ones.
There's also a lot of questions about a mid-season hero, because in the past we've been doing a lot of mid-season updates with new heroes, and people are asking if there will be more mid-season heroes. We haven't had one since Chemist back in season 2, and it would be really nice to refresh the enthusiasm of the season, and I'd love to see it be done again.
Well, a mid-season hero is something, a new content to the game, but as we are now delivering more new modes and, some testing modes like 5v5, maybe we will slow down the hero progress and make sure we deliver more, different game modes rather than heroes for the short term.
We're a pretty small team right now,
Yeah.
and a lot of the resources are kind of put into the new 5 versus 5 mode and some other optimizations as well. Of course, there is still a lot of optimizations that we
Adding abilities to, or I think we already have 23 heroes online that adding new abilities to them need take a lot of time.
There are more questions to it. The next topic is PC ports. It's a very long one. Let me try to trim it down a little bit. It's obvious with the new update that the control scheme in other shooter games on PC or mobile like PUBG, COB, but still like 5v5 will be more not mobile friendly compared to 3 versus 3.
Because there are more people on the screen and the screen is more.
Yeah, and you have to control one more ability in 5 versus 5. So people are looking for a PC port.
I think we have in fact, considered porting T3 Arena to other platforms, including, Switch and maybe Steam, because we are still testing a lot of new features right now. So it might be a future plan.
And I think one thing about cross-platform gaming, especially with shooters, you have to make sure that it's fair.
It's balanced and fair, to everyone.
Platforms.
Yeah.
Because if you, for example, a PC, a lot of our players play on emulators as well.
Yeah.
But emulators is different from a direct
To have natural
PC
advantage.
version. We have to be really careful about it.
Yeah. And also I think, for the mobile version now, we still have a lot of things to do to optimize the game, especially for the 5 versus 5 game mode. As a lot of people are saying that they have FPS drops and lags, and we are actually try our best to fixing all the problems to make sure we, reach the maximum optimization, and then maybe we will consider like PC version or maybe Switch version as well.
And if there is, for example, a PC version or a console version, I know that some games do separate their matchmaking.
Yeah.
And don't put them all on the same platform.
Yeah.
And some of them, they put them on the same platform. For example, one of the games, PC players and PlayStation players on the same platform. And then people playing on PlayStation use a controller and they're not as responsive as the PC players, and there's a little bit of a situation there sometimes. All right, look, now that we talk about PC version and emulator, there's a question from Clay about emulator ban. So ask TV Arena, shouldn't emulators be banned from tournaments, especially if they're against players who aren't using PC? It gives an advantage. Most people don't find that fair.
Official T3 Arena tournaments, it's mobile only, so which means emulators will get a ban in the official tournaments. But for casual players and other players online, that emulator is okay.
Is that a hint for official tournaments in the future?
Of course, we will have a lot. Yeah. We are actually working pretty hard to the tournaments things.
Stay tuned. Stay tuned. 5 versus 5 and 3 versus 3 is the next big topic. there are a lot of questions about bringing 5 versus 5 designs to 3 versus 3. One of the questions from Erwin is that will second abilities in 5 versus 5 be available on 3 versus 3? There are a lot of questions about bringing 5 versus 5 design into 3 versus 3.
Yeah, the 5v5 now is still in beta, and we are actually testing a lot of different versions of 5v5, something like new abilities or with new abilities like for more heroes to add in. We are all testing all of them. And since it's still in beta mode, so if the 5v5 went out pretty well, and we finally decide which 5v5 we will get them online officially, then we may consider, put the 5v5 new abilities to 3v3. But because the new ability in 5v5, it will completely change the balance in 3v3. So we will be very careful to make sure that the abilities adding will, have a good experience and maybe rebalancing everything.
Yeah, I mean, talking about 5 versus 5, the most experience is the new ability, and I think one of the complexity of bringing the new ability to 3 versus 3 is, first of all, for example, there are skins with all of the heroes, and there are like visual effects that you have to do with the new ability.
It's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work, and if we kind of bring that new ability to a full version of even 5 versus 5, it's gonna be a lot of work.
And also cause the almost all the heroes get revamps in the 5v5. So
like the balance changes.
Yeah, even maybe, although in the future maybe 5v5 players love them, when goes to 3v3, revamped heroes might still need to be very strictly considered.
I'm actually very curious, with Iris in 5 versus 5, her gun is changed into a completely different weapon. Is there any like design thoughts behind that change?
Yes.
Why is that necessary for 5 versus 5?
First, because we add a very frequently used ability, the second ability, which has a very low cooldown, and also we lower the cooldown of the healing. So basically, as an Iris player, you need to use 2 abilities very constant. Old version, which is a gun that like a minigun, shoots a lot of ammos and continues. So might not have enough time to use the abilities that you need to constantly aiming at people. But now, like using some gun, similar to Scotty's, so have
like
time,
a pistol.
Yeah, like a pistol, then you will have time to use the abilities and maybe combo them up.
I see. So for Scotty, her new ability is jumping across the field, and is that also a very similar design choice where, because Scotty has this pistol weapon, she can do a lot more with her abilities.
Yeah, so she can frequently use her abilities and to always change her positioning to make sure you are in a good positioning. Because in 5v5, positioning are very important.
And there are also 2 heroes who have a jumping ability, who are Osas and Christina in 5 vs 5. So I think I realized that use this ability is quite different.
Yeah.
Can you explain a little more about the design behind why Christina and Osas receive kind of like a jumping ability in 5 vs 5?
First of all, for Christina, we want her to have ability to run away if someone's getting close to you, and also we want Christina to have a better ability to repositioning, because she doesn't have any movement abilities before the second skill. There's a lot of shield in 5v5. Also, it's the same reason as Christina have a high jumping ability, because we want them to have the ability to attack people behind the shield.
I see. I think there are a lot of questions that people have regarding 5 vs 5, and a lot of the abilities are still in production. They're still in design, and it's not like they're all final, right?
Yeah. We are actually, revamping a lot of other heroes as well to, try to fit them into 5v5.
All right. Let's move on to our next topic. Future game mode. Someone asked would there be other game modes in the future seasons, for example, prop hunt, S&D, etc., etc. And a lot of people asked about Battle Royale in the past as well. I recognize that. I did read a lot of Battle Royale questions.
Well, we actually, we have a lot of game modes.
We can't talk
working.
About, we can't talk too much.
Yeah, but we had those ideas. And they might be coming in the future.
I do think that it's a great experience to have kind of like special game modes in the game. It could be a limited time game mode where you just have fun a little bit with it and not necessarily, get too competitive with the game mode.
That's true.
Sometimes
a lot of event modes, but for now, I think we will just focus on 5v5 first to make sure we deliver the good experience on 5v5. After that, we will put more time into more game modes.
5 vs 5 is a lot more competitive. Is it the design philosophy behind?
But actually, you can play it casually because there are more people there, which means you might not need to, use Skadi to kill someone. You can just, use a healer and use a tank. So, you can play it casually, but to the competitive part, it's more competitive than the 3v3 one because there's a lot of more strategies there and team comps. Of course, it's more, complicated.
All right, let's move on to the next topic about creator applications. I mean, creators are an important part of the community and we love our creators. We actually feature our creators on our official channel, so do check them out on the homepage of T3 Arena YouTube channel. The question is about when will new content creators be picked from the submissions? When are we going to review it? So maybe it's a question for me that I can reply. So creator program is an important program for us to connect with our players, with all of you guys. And creators are an important part of our community. And I think what we value about our creators is that we get feedback from our creators as well constantly, because they're kind of like their audience, you guys, their audience, they really do get in touch with the feedback from the community, from you guys. So they're really important for us. So we open our creator program all the time. Sometimes it takes time for us to review your content, and it'd be best if you can create some content or a channel first when you submit your application, and then so that we can see what your style is with the game. You don't necessarily need to be creating T3 Arena content constantly in the past, but if you have like content in the past or in your channel so that you can show what type of content you tend to create, that would be really helpful for us to review your application. Okay, next question. Next topic is, I think it's a very important topic, replays. Now, are you guys going to improve replay, for example, add timeline, the list of players to be able to travel faster, drone, view mode, kill cam? All of these are replays related questions.
Well, we have thought about all the things you've just talked, but firstly, before we implement these new functions that we would like to, undergo more testing because they are actually pretty complicated. Because we are still, working on 5v5 right now, so these things will be the second thing after 5v5.
There's actually a spectator mode or spectator account that we share with our tournament organizers and creators. And in the spectator, if you are a spectator in kind of like a system spectator, you can spectate with all of the stats of all the players in the match, and you can pick different players to view from their angles and spectate from a different perspective. So, but there are also a lot of players suggesting, or creators, especially in tournament organizers, suggesting like a third-person drone view spectator mode. It's something that we actually had in our engine, in our game engine. But there are just so many bugs that we're not confident.
We need more time to testing and fixing them because it's now actually pretty buggy. But that's something very important.
It's very important
because for all the tournaments that we need a better spectating mode.
All right, next question is about rewards. Free rewards. Please give us free stuffs on update as some other games, and redeem codes. It's a very common questions from the community.
We do.
After maintenance, every time after maintenance, there are a couple boxes that you can collect. And then we also do a lot of live streams on our channel. We've been doing a lot more recently, especially with some scrims of the community and tournaments as well. We're creating a lot more of these live streams contents with our creators. Thank you to our creators. There's gonna be some.
So make sure you come and take the redeem codes and redeem them as soon as possible.
They usually have a limited time to collect, so it's usually 24 hours.
24 hours.
And watch our live streams. All right. Next topic is about official tournaments. We've mentioned about tournaments and official tournaments. We've been doing a lot of community tournaments recently. One of them was Aleta King, which was really fun. I mean, it's not a very competitive type of tournament, but it's really fun. Like, yeah, all the players are Aleta. It was really fun. I actually did a long time ago when during early access, I was doing like a Clone War, clone kind of tournament, and I played Sindri. Iris,
Triple Sindri is it's
all of the players in the same field are of the same hero, and it was really fun. So the question is, please introduce in-game tournament in which we can participate and at rewards. So it's more like apart from these tournaments outside of the game, is there any possibility of having tournaments inside the game?
Yeah, as we implement 5v5 and a lot of like rankings, the rank system we've implemented earlier. We will have more official tournaments in the future, and also I think recently we've have a creator tournament of like a creator show for the 5v5. It's really fun. I mean,
it is. Yeah, really fun. Yeah, but in-game tournaments, I think it's gonna take time. I think we're gonna start with tournaments outside the game. Yeah. And when we announce about tournaments, do participate and form your own team. You can actually form your own team in the game right now first. In clubs, that's true. Form your own team, and you can think about what name you're gonna call your team.
Yeah, and after we optimize the game, and after maybe have a good spectating mode and the play mode, we may have some in-game tournaments as well.
All right, next topic is about merging queues. Would it be possible to merge all casual modes into one single queue instead of selecting a queue to populate? If the game system will allow players to queue first before choosing a game mode, the system will be able to allow anyone to play on every mode without having to queue for a long time. So right now, you pick your favorite mode to play in, and merge everyone into the same, for example, 3 versus 3 queue, and it's like randomly generated stage and randomly generated mode. So you don't know what mode you play exactly.
Well, we would love to give players, much freedom of what mode they choose. Some heroes good in Clash, some good in Payload, some good in TDM. So, we want to make sure that our players always have a choice, that they will not, use a hero and get into a random mode that they are not, good at. So we will not change it for now, but maybe it will be discussed in the future.
It could be an option that makes sense if we want to improve the matchmaking time.
It will definitely
improve matchmaking time because they're not scattered around all the different modes. I think ranked is a very good example of the execution of it. Like you go into rank.
But actually a lot of people are saying that they don't want to clash in the rank mode as well.
Yeah.
They want to always have a payload and a control because Clash are very different from them.
Yeah, Clash is a very different. It's a very different one. Kind of Discord. All right, next topic is about heroes. There are a lot of questions about heroes. So apart from the previous questions about a mid-season hero, there are a lot of questions about hero balancing. Kitty says that when you add more heroes like Ya and Hualing, which are fun to play and require skill sensitive or powered Vanguard, please buff Victor, he's dying. There are also questions about nerf and buffs. Make more supports. Iris definitely needs buffs. New support hero, plans for support heroes. A lot of questions about support heroes.
Yeah, we will release new support heroes, very soon. New support hero. Yeah, but also for the buffs and nerfs, like Victor and Iris, we've just revamped our balancing framework, which we will lock more into the rank matches. Still, Iris and Victor's, in the rank mode they are still working pretty good, have a decent win rate and also a decent pick rate as well. So these two will not be changed. Some other heroes will be changed in the future.
Yeah. Okay.
We are doing some, new balancing rework. Yeah.
One thing about feedback that I constantly see from the community, apart from, for example, when a new hero launch, it's like very extreme. Like sometimes people would say this hero is just we just need a buff for that new hero. And sometimes the community would say we just need a nerf for that hero. And right now I feel like a lot of the feedback from the community is to buff certain heroes more than nerf certain heroes. And I think that means we're at a good point where a lot of heroes are overpowered. In general, I feel like it's for example, for Chemist and Iris, there's more of a feedback from the community about buffing Iris. At least
some say buffing Chemist as well, you know.
Yeah, some say buffing Chemist, but at least we're not seeing a lot of like nerf Chemist. It's more like Chemist is in the right place, but then we need a little bit more with another hero. So I feel like it could be a sign for a good book.
Yeah, that's true. As we revamp the balance framework, we will look more strictly into this. Yeah, and you can expect some balancing changes in the future.
Let's take a look at the next question. Ranked mode. Could you guys make the rank protection event happen for everyone under Diamond? Rank protection. We have 5 versus 5 in ranked. Okay, the first question is about protection, rank protection.
I think we have a plan to change the rank rules and maybe the active.
Rank protection can be a slippery slope if not done right, because it can be something that
it can harm the
fairness of the gameplay. So it is. Yeah, and then for 5 versus 5 in ranked,
it is actually in the plan. And it will become pretty soon. After we
maybe a couple of seasons later.
Yeah. At least we first need to optimize 5v5 and then test 5v5 and get feedbacks and make sure the 5v5 is the experience we deliver that players want, and then getting the rank as well.
Yeah, I mean optimization is an important thing for 5 vs 5.
Yeah, because otherwise it's not a fair mode to everyone.
Yeah, optimization. We really need to optimize.
Yeah, that's true.
All right. Technical issues is the next big topic. So let me read out some of the questions from the community. Please fix the lagging or ping and fix the hitbox. People abuse hitbox. Should pass me or get hit behind the wall. So it's one of the questions that we discussed in the past, especially with Gloria. Right side peeking. Ping is unplayable. Another question, when will the ping issue be solved? The lag is insane. So a lot of the questions are about ping, lag, red side picking. But a lot of questions about ping and lag. I think it's different problems, right? Yeah. Lag meaning, for example, frame rate drop, for example, and then ping meaning server issues. So what do you feel about the experience of ping and frame rate drops, especially with 5 versus 5?
One way to fix server-side lag would be, add more servers across different regions. However, right now we don't have a large enough player base, across all regions. Yeah, so splitting the players base across many servers might lead to a very long matchmaking time.
And I think the problem with just adding servers is that if we add a certain server and then players play on that server, there will need to be enough players that jump onto that server, right?
Yeah. So because the adding a server is like an easy way, and we can't do that because it will lead to some more problems. We've decided is to first optimizing our current existing servers, and then we will minimizing client side issues. Make sure the client side experience will be better. So which means the lag problems and should be getting better in the future.
I think for ping issues, I've been following the community since early access. That's like a year ago. We're gonna have an anniversary celebration video very soon. We had early access from mid-March, and I think ping is one of the things that keep coming out in the community feedback. And I think from my personal perspective, I think it means that there are a lot of players outside of our major regions. Our major regions are, for example, North America, Japan, Asia, parts of Asia, and Latin America as well. And I think it means that a lot of players scattered around outside of these main regions. We have servers in these main regions, but we don't have servers in every single region. So for example, in Middle East, there are a lot of players from Middle East as well. It means that people from around the world do love TFT Arena, and I really appreciate the community's love for us. Hopefully, we can have more players across all of those different regions, so we can open a little more servers in those regions.
And we are working hard to, optimize the current servers. So hopefully it will keep getting better.
Yeah. All right. Next question is about system settings. Why is the graphics set to low even though my device can handle the game? And why can't I log in through Google when okay, that's a different question, but graphics set to low even though my device can handle the game.
Because with our latest update for the 5v5, we decide to lower the auto detect graphics settings for certain devices to make sure, like, if you jump into the 5v5, you're not gonna get FPS drops and things like that.
Crazy drops.
Yeah. You can change them back in the settings as well.
Yeah, I think one reason could help with the issue is that, for example, even if you have a very capable device, let's say the latest, I don't know, iPhone or the latest, or like an esports phone of any brand that we can't mention, then you can possibly run it. But we just wanted to make sure that out of the box, when you open the game, you don't experience specific issues. So you can just turn it on, turn it up in the settings, and change the setting if you feel like your phone can handle.
If you think your phone can handle, you can just change them back in the graphic setting.
All right. And free T-Gems. Well, I think a lot of players want T-Gems, definitely. And one thing about our Battle Pass is that you can actually get free T-Gems and free Battle Pass even if you don't go premium. And when I think around every 2 to 3 seasons, you can collect.
I think every 2 seasons, you can have a free season pass for the next season.
Well, you can also spend the T-Gems on something else.
Yes, definitely.
But yeah, every 2 seasons you can collect enough free T-Gems to buy the new Battle Pass. So you have to make sure that you complete your Battle Pass every season to get the most out of it. And make sure that you follow us, subscribe. You follow us on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and everywhere. So that's all for today's Q&A. Do drop us some comments and questions in the comments below. We're not gonna do kind of like very frequent Q&A, but we're gonna do
once in a while,
every once in a while. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you all in the next one. Bye.